Hey guys, this week I decided to do a 48-hour readathon by myself. For a number of reasons. I have not been reading that much this month and I was really behind. Well, I say really behind. I was further behind on my Goodreads challenge than I wanted to be. I was about 2 books behind on my reading challenge, and after finishing Wilder Girls earlier this month, I just wasn't really in the mood for reading. I also had a lot of other things going on in my personal life, with unemployment, with trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do, with worrying about a deadline for my visa coming up, for the H-1B visa, and I just kind of needed something to take my mind off everything else that was going on in my life. So I decided to do a 48-hour readathon by myself to take my mind off things, to push myself to read more, and so that I wouldn't constantly be dreading this deadline that I was coming up on. I knew I wanted the readathon to end on the same day that the deadline was coming up. That really worked because instead of thinking about the deadline for my visa, I ended up thinking more about the deadline for the readathon, and I spent more time reading than I have in quite a while. That's enough of me talking about it. We're gonna actually get into the readathon. Okay, so I told myself that I was going to do this readathon because I honestly just need something to get my mind off where I am in life right now. So I'm going to be doing a 48-hour readathon. I'm sure the intro already explained some of this to you, but I'm doing the 48-hour readathon, and I was going to start it at 8 when I woke up this morning. And then I just didn't have the best start to the day, and it is now 3:39 p.m. So I'm making the executive decision that this is starting at noon. So I have from noon today until noon Thursday to read as much as I possibly can. And this is partly because I've only just finished my first book of the month, and it was not admittedly the best experience. I was very confused through most of it. It ended on a really, really weird note, and I'm really not sure how to feel about it. But I want to kind of change that, and it was a review book. I do actually have to read the sequel before it comes out on April 1st, so the first thing that is on my TBR is Almost Damned by Chris Liebig, and this is a book I was sent for review by the author and his publicist. The first book was interesting. It is a legal thriller, and it follows this attorney named Sam Young who deals with these cases, and he has a little bit of psychic abilities. I will say that I really enjoyed the legal aspect of the first book. I really liked that, and I would have liked to see more of it, to see more of the investigative process. Sorry, you can probably hear the cars outside. I would have really liked to see more of that and to understand a little more of the legal system. Everything that was kind of talked about was stuff I know roughly from watching a lot of crime shows and being super into SVU and stuff like that. Like, my basic legal knowledge kind of didn't really, it wasn't really expanded upon in the book, and I wish there was more focus on that. The way the book explores psychic abilities is not something I've ever encountered before, I will say that. I don't want to exactly say that it's good or bad yet. Sorry, you can also probably hear the dryer in the background. I apologize for that. Yeah, it's not really something I can say is good or bad. I just, maybe it's not my cup of tea, is what I'm gonna say. The sequel isn't very long. It comes out April 1st, and I am looking forward to reading it because this will hopefully answer more of my questions about what's going on. So I am looking forward to getting into it. I think it's 209 pages, which isn't very long. The first book did take me pretty much the entire month to read though, so I want to buckle down and get this done. Also so that I can gather my thoughts before I post about it, because I have agreed to post like a short review on my Bookstagram for this, so that will be coming closer to when this book is coming out. So yeah, that's something I have to do, and I want to get this done. Yeah, I feel like it's not just, I'm also maybe just not in the best headspace to be reading something like this right now, so I will admit that my judgment is probably a little bit biased, but it's something I've agreed to, and it's something I'm going to do. So we're gonna get this done first, and then we're gonna move on to 2 other possibilities. I don't know feasibly how much I can actually read this 48 hours, but I have 2 Riley Sager books here. I have Lock Every Door, and I have The Last Time I Lied. I don't really know which one I want to read yet. I will probably go with Lock Every Door because that is the next book that this is the second book that Riley Sager wrote. So I read his debut, and then I read his no longer most recent because he just came out with another one. I read Home Before Dark, and I think Lock Every Door is the second book that he wrote, and The Last Time I Lied is the third book he wrote, so I will probably go with this one first. I just need something like familiar in genre to kind of take my mind off where I am right now and just things that are going on in my life that I don't really want to get into at this moment. But yeah, those are my reading plans. I'm also going to pick up a book from the library, actually. I have to head out. I'm gonna get changed and I'm gonna head out and pick up the book. It is The Perfect Guest by Emma Rouse? I think it's Emma Rouse. And I'm also looking forward to reading that, but I have a little bit of time, so if I can get Almost Damned and Lock Every Door done, I might just go into The Last Time I Lied because that's due at the library sooner. It's actually due on the 27th. Me being me, I have this habit of putting off books, and also just this month has not been the best for me mentally and in a lot of other ways, and reading wise, that's like my reading has been affected a lot. So I'm gonna go get changed out of my gigantic PJ shirt, and then we're gonna go to the library and pick up a book, come back and get into a bit of reading, because all I've done today is finish the last like 20 pages of the first book in this series, which was Almost Mortal. So yeah, I got 20 pages of reading done so far. Well, actually that was before the readathon started, so I'm not even going to count that. We're just going to start fresh with this, and I have a little bit of updating to do with my reading journal, so we're going to go do that as well, and then I guess we'll be reading more? I don't know what that transition was supposed to be. I'm gonna go get changed now. Okay, I am back. I know it probably looks like I just changed from one black shirt into another, but I swear I'm in different clothes. Would not walk outside in the giant t-shirt I was wearing because you couldn't tell that I had pants on. So, sorry, you can probably hear traffic outside. It's really nice outside today, so I opened up the windows to let a little fresh air in, and I got my library book. It is The Perfect Guest by Emma Rouse. I heard about this. Sorry. Traffic is really obnoxious where I am. Like, I don't know why, but they're really obnoxious. I heard this as a recommendation from Alexa Dunn as one of those like stuck with the murderer kind of trope mystery books, and I really like that trope, so I picked this up. I did clean it off a little bit because there was some construction going on nearby and some of the dust got onto it, so I wiped it down, and I am excited to read this because I thought I was going to get it a little earlier in the month. They had it, and I guess I just wasn't able to get it in time. Like, it took a little while. So yeah, I'm excited to have it now, and I don't know, we'll see if I can read it. I don't think I'll be able to fit it into this readathon, but I will definitely read it probably early next month. Kind of regret opening the window now, but since it's so nice outside, I'm actually debating whether or not I should sit outside and read. There's like a little, not patio, but like table area place where I can sit outside in my apartment complex, and it's so nice outside. Like, there's no sun or anything, it's just cloudy, but like there's a little bit of wind, and I think I might actually want to sit outside at least for a little bit because the weather is just so nice. Like, it's really, really warm outside. It's 20 degrees Celsius. It's like, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. It's 20 degrees Celsius, and I was sweating in my shirt. Like, I'm wearing yoga pants, but like, I was sweating. So I think I'm going to enjoy a little bit of the nice weather. I will bring the camera along and I'll film a little reading montage of me at least starting my book, and yeah, like actually dive into reading for this readathon. So one of the neighbors upstairs has their window open, and I can hear parts of their action movie. I don't know what movie it is, but I can hear parts of it, and it's kind of funny. So I am back in the apartment now. I read outside for maybe half an hour, and then the wind got kind of chilly, so I came back upstairs. I've spent a little more time than I'd like to admit. I spent a little more time than I'd like to admit learning how to make covers for reels, so I did that. I will insert a cover of the reel here, and then now I'm going to make dinner because I'm hungry, and I think my friend's gonna call me sometime around 7:30-ish. a friend I haven't talked to in a while, so I'm going to make food before that happens and eat a little bit, hopefully before he calls. It's gonna, I don't know, it depends on how distracted I get while making dinner. And yeah, I might put on a podcast. I might continue listening to My Favorite Murder, or I might put on another episode of X-Files, which I've been watching lately. I'm not really sure yet. Also, I have no idea why. Apparently, I'm on low battery, even though I'm pretty sure this had just... No, I was gonna say this had just been charged up. It had not. I'm going to go make dinner now, and yeah, reading outside was nice, but the wind was a little chilly, so maybe should have brought a jacket, and then I could have read out there a little longer. Also, I could smell weed. We're a non-smoking building, but I could smell weed outside, and I don't know which one of the neighbors it was. So I wish I could tell you that I've read more, but we're now basically 12 hours into the readathon and I have not read more. I made dinner, which you saw, and then I got on the phone with one of my best friends from high school. He texted me this morning, and when I told him my job situation, he knew I was upset, so he offered to call me tonight, and we talked for like 2.5 hours, which was really nice, and I needed it because it was someone familiar to talk to, and I haven't talked to him in a while, so it was nice to just get to do that and to catch up, and I needed that more than I realized because he basically just offered to stay on the phone with me to keep in mind of things and hang out with me, even though we'd kind of run out of things to talk about at that point, and knowing that someone was going to do that was just really nice. I didn't end up reading more. I, after the call, put on the X-Files. I'm going to put the dishes away, clean up, get ready for bed, and then maybe read a couple more chapters before I go to bed. I think I just needed a distraction that wasn't reading, despite the fact that I chose this readathon, to do this readathon because I want reading to distract me. But I feel like I just needed something different for a little bit, and being on the phone with my friend really helped. So yeah, I'm going to clean up, get ready for bed, and then read a couple more chapters, try to get a little further into the book, and then hopefully spend tomorrow finishing it because I would like to get it done. At the speed at which I'm reading, I can finish it in 2.5 hours, I think, is what Bookly told me I can do. So we're gonna aim for that. We're gonna aim to finish it tomorrow because I don't have anything going on, so I might as well finish it tomorrow, right? So that was... wow, I haven't spoken yet this morning. Sorry, that sounded really weird. Yeah, I did my devotions this morning. I added 16 pages to my total reading with my devotions in with the actual devotion itself, and then some meditation questions to just go over, and I think that puts me around 60 pages read so far. I tried to get a little more into this last night before I went to bed, and I think I am 44 pages into the book, so yeah, I only have like 160 pages left. And so I can definitely get that done today. So I'm gonna go get ready, get dressed, well, dressed as much as I want to be, and then I do want to write a little bit today. I'm feeling like writing. I took the past couple days off. I'm trying to build it into a little bit of a habit, and I took the past couple days off just because I wasn't really feeling up to it, but I feel like I can maybe focus on it a little more, so I might get some writing done. Hopefully. I want to. We're gonna go do that. We're gonna go do that, and I'm going to get out of bed. Okay, at this point, this book is not making any sense to me. I've just spent the last hour reading more of this, and I am at the halfway point, I think. Yeah, I'm basically exactly a little over the halfway point, and I have no clue what's going on at all, which makes me feel really bad because I accepted this as a review book. This is the third review book that I've accepted, and I have not liked any of them. I actually DNF'd the first review book that I got because it was poorly written, and then I accepted Almost Mortal, which is the first book in this series. I'm assuming it's a series. And it took me a really long time to read it, and I thought it was just because I wasn't really feeling it. And I think that was one of the reasons, but I just also was really, really confused by the story. It wasn't making any sense to me, and I just wasn't enjoying it, but I pushed through and I finished it, and now I'm on to the sequel, and it's really confusing. And this is just one of those things where I'm like, I know that the author is trying to do a certain thing. I know that this is a play on demonology and, you know, what happens if angels procreated with human beings. And this is a thing, the Bible does mention it. They're called the Nephilim. I'm sure if you watch Supernatural, you're probably familiar with it too. The Nephilim are like historically a thing, at least as far as like really early biblical history goes. And like by really early, I mean like we're talking like Adam and Eve, like a generation or two after them, kind of early in biblical history, so like a really long time ago. And I get like that's a whole thing I'm decently familiar with. I've never really looked into it, but as a Christian myself, I'm decently familiar with it. And I know that the author of this was raised Catholic. And I think the premise of that is really interesting. I think the way he went about it is unfortunately not something I am really clicking with, and I feel really bad that I'm really not liking this. Like, I gave the first book 2 stars, and I'm probably gonna give this 1 star because I cannot for the life of me follow what is going on with the story. I have absolutely no clue what is happening or what the mystery is supposed to be at this point. Let's see. So the back says, as defense attorney Sam Young investigates his cases in Bennett County, it becomes increasingly apparent that his clients, old and new, are surprisingly interconnected, especially when old clients rise from the dead. Literally. No one has risen from the dead so far. Well, in this book. No one has risen from the dead in this book so far. And it's not a surprise that his clients are interconnected because he literally knows from the beginning that they're interconnected. The connection kind of makes sense. Like, it's one of the, like, I'm not going to spoil the book. It's one of those things, when you read the book, you'll understand why it makes sense. But it's just, I am not enjoying this. And as a writer myself, I'm seeing a lot of potential in the story. I think the premise itself is incredibly interesting. I've never thought of anything like this before, and I've never come across anything like this before. And I think it could do really well if it was executed a lot better. My main problem with this is that it is confusing as all heck. I have no idea who half these people are. There is a character guide at the beginning, and it's just like, it's a full-on character guide, and I was provided with a character guide by the author and his publicist, which I really appreciate. I just didn't, there's so many people, and it's really hard to keep track of them, especially when you realize that half these people are not who they say they are, and like, I'm not bothered to try and figure out exactly who is who and what is what. The execution of the story isn't the best. There are several moments where, in the first book and in this book, where I've been left just wondering, what the heck is going on, what the transitions are, why random things are happening that we don't need to know are happening. Also, the main character is very much an alcoholic. He drinks so much. Literally, there's a scene where he's on a plane and he asks for a vodka tonic, and he asks the flight attendant to make it a triple. The flight attendant tells him he can't, they're only allowed to make it a double per order, per customer, whatever. But the flight attendant slips him 3 mini bottles of vodka anyways, and then slips him 2 more later. And then once the main character gets off the plane, after having all 5 mini bottles of vodka already at high altitude, which high altitude makes the alcohol hit your system a lot faster, so you get really drunk. So after the 5 mini vodkas, he gets off the plane, immediately orders a martini at the airport bar, and then orders a glass of wine right after he finishes the martini. And then that same night, drinks 2 more glasses of vodka. The man's an alcoholic. And there's just so many things about this that I don't like and I don't connect with, and I don't know how to review this because I have promised thoughts on this, and I think the main thing I'm going to say is that I just didn't connect with it and that it wasn't the book for me. But also I'm offended now because at some point one of the characters, a supporting character, refers to 2 people of color as a chink and a gypsy. I'm Chinese. Like, do I need to explain what's wrong with that? I don't think I do. Especially in the climate that we're in now. This is incredibly racially charged and offensive language, and even if it's meant to be that way, you don't have to write it. You can just say so-and-so called someone else a racial slur. You don't have to repeat the term chink and gypsy 2-3 times. Like, after reading that, I just had to stop. I finished the chapter and I just had to stop because I was so upset. I've heard derogatory names for Asians before. I've never been called one, thank goodness. At least not to my face. Behind my back, who knows. But I'm struggling so much with this book, and I am going to finish it because at this point I want to be able to talk about all the reasons why this wasn't a good book. I am struggling to make sense of this, and I think that's coming across. Also, I have no idea what the mystery is at this point. Like, I really don't know what the mystery is. I think I said that. I don't know if I said that. I have absolutely no idea what the mystery is and who most of these people are or what it's supposed to, like, I don't understand what's going on. The main character is being targeted by all these people, and I don't understand why they're targeting him. It literally has no significance. Like, him being a target, no sense. Makes no sense at all. And it just, so many people in this book, in this series, are serial killers. Like, a lot of them are serial killers. And I am struggling to wrap my mind around what the actual story of this book, this series, is supposed to be. Because I'm fairly sure there's going to be a 3rd one. I don't think this is going to be a duology. I think it's going to continue. The nice thing is that these books are short. So reading them isn't as bad as if I was reading, say, like a 400-page book. It's only 200 pages. But it's the long and kind of painful 200 pages. And I know, like, I'm kind of ragging on the author right now. His publicist does know that I'm doing this in exchange for an honest review, and I don't know if they'll ever find this video. They know that I'm talking about it on Bookstagram mainly. That's what the agreement was, that I would put up something on Bookstagram. But I just am, at this point, so frustrated and annoyed and offended as a reader and also as a writer and as a person of color, as a woman of color, that I don't know how I'm going to write this review when I'm done with this and how I'm going to talk about this, because I want to tell people not to read this because I don't think it makes any sense. There are reviews on Goodreads that say this makes sense to them and that they were like super thrilled with it, and good for them, that they could follow a lot better than me. Maybe I'm just not getting it. Maybe it's the thing with me. I feel like to some extent as the author, your job is to make sure that the audience understands what's going on, and most of the time I don't. There are a few scenes where the main character opens a document and goes to type something and then stops, closes his eyes, falls asleep, wakes up, and whatever he was typing is fully typed out. And I don't know if that means that he finished typing it and then went to sleep and woke up and it was like fully typed out and he's just reading it over, or if that means he started typing it, fell asleep, someone or something else came in and typed the rest for him, and then he's waking up to that. Like, I have no clue what it's supposed to mean, and I feel like I should understand that. I'm not a dumb person. I'm not a dumb reader. I should be able to understand what's going on, but I don't. I really don't. The way that stuff is written and explained in the story reminds me of a class I was in my freshman year of college where we were talking about the thesis and how it's important that your thesis explains to your audience what the paper is about and what they need to know. And at some point we were going around exchanging our theses and talking about them and kind of workshopping them to give each other an idea of what, worked, what didn't. And there was the guy who read his thesis and none of us understood what it meant, and he just said, "Oh, well, it's fine because I understand it." And we all looked at him and we were like, yeah, that's not the point of the thesis. The point of the thesis is that you're trying to convey what you understand to us so that we understand it. And he didn't seem to get that idea. And this feels like one of those things, which is incredibly strange to me because the author of this book is an actual lawyer. So he knows what a good thesis is. He has to make good arguments in court. And I don't get it. No, I should stop talking about this before I get even more upset. And I need to stop talking about this. That was interesting, to say the least. I'm done with the book now, and I have very mixed feelings about this for a number of reasons. The last 70-ish pages, a little more than 70 pages, were actually pretty interesting. We actually get to see like a court case, and it was interesting, I will say. That has given me the inclination to not rate it as 1 star. I think I can safely give it a 1.5 star because I did like the trial and I thought it was very interesting. I will say that this is one of those books that if you don't have a good grasp of biblical religion, either in the Catholic or Christian sense, can get really confusing because this book, more than the first one, centers on a lot of biblical history, I guess to say. I mean, obviously it's fiction and it requires you to suspend some amount of disbelief because of the premise of the book. I'm just gonna say that. I'm not gonna go into details and spoil it. And as someone who does have, I would like to think, a fairly decent knowledge of the Bible, having read the Bible before on multiple occasions, being a Christian, someone who grew up in the church, this is one of those books that I find hard to present my feelings on because I know that it's fiction and I know that I'm supposed to suspend my disbelief, but one of the reasons why I don't read religious fiction like this, or fiction that involves other interpretations of the Bible, is because to me there's a little bit of heresy almost. It's not exactly heresy, it's not claiming that this is true, but the interpretations of the Bible are very skewed, we'll say that. And yes, obviously it should be because it's an interpretation in order to create fiction, and I understand that point. I just know that as a Christian, I had some trouble with the way that certain figures of the Bible and certain things about biblical history were presented, and it's just one of those things where I could easily explain away an entire plot point just with the Bible, like just with a single thing about the Bible. I could explain away an entire plot point and it wouldn't even be relevant anymore. So, does that, I don't really know how to talk about that or how to judge that because on the one hand, it is a fictional interpretation, entirely fictional. But on the other hand, someone who has a decent grasp of the Bible, or at least a vague understanding of God and biblical history, should also be able to make an argument similar to mine, which would kind of make a fairly big plot point fall apart entirely. So that's just, that's just something that, as I was reading the final bit, caught my attention a lot, and I really don't know how to feel about it. The book is still confusing as heck, and I would not recommend this to people because it is frustrating and it is confusing. And there are a lot of things that people in this book just know, and I don't know how they know it. And it's never explained how they know it. So I think it could be much better written. I think it could be revised and explained more and explained better. And I don't know if I would be inclined to pick up anything by this author in the future. From the way this ended, this might actually just be a duology. I'm not sure. I could see room for a third book potentially, but I don't think it's likely, so I guess I was wrong. It's not a series. I'm pretty sure it's just a duology. I appreciate the effort that the author put into creating this. Obviously, he did a fair amount of research into the Bible, into biblical history, in order to write the first book and this one. It's just not for me. And I would say that if you're a Christian or if you're a Catholic, there is a chance that you might get offended by some of this. So keep that in mind if you decide to pick this up. I have issues with the writing and the story and a lot of things. It's just not my cup of tea, and I'm going to end it there because I think I've said enough about this book for one vlog. So, to change things up and hopefully move in a slightly better direction, we're gonna pick up Lock Every Door. I think I'm going to take a break. I had a bit of an early dinner slash leftovers from lunch and I'm now kind of hungry, but I'm not exactly hungry enough to eat a full dinner meal. I'm gonna go make some food of some kind and probably watch a little bit of X-Files or Criminal Minds just to give myself a little bit of a break, because I have read about 160-ish pages so far today, I think. And then I will get into this and... Oh, wait. Is The Last Time I Lied the second book that Riley Sager wrote? I'm gonna look that up, and whichever one is the second book that Riley Sager wrote, I'm gonna read that. So it might not be this. I'm gonna have to check Goodreads for that. But yeah, I will get into this, or get into one of Riley Sager's books at some point, and hopefully it'll be better than Almost Damned, because so far this month I have not read anything that I've liked. Everything has been a 2-star and below. I finished Wilder Girls at the beginning of the month and really did not like that. Read Almost Mortal, really didn't like that either. Almost Damned, you obviously know I really didn't like that. So I'm hoping that I will like the next book more, because January started out great. I had a 5-star book and 3 4.5-star books, and then February was pretty okay. I DNF'd a book, and then I read, I think, 2 books, and one was 5 stars, and hold on, why am I trying to guess? I have it right here. Yeah, in February I read 2 books, one was a 3.5 stars and one was a 5-star book, and so I'm just ready to read something a little better to get my reading back up there, because one of the reasons why I haven't really felt like reading is because Wilder Girls just put me in a really bad slump and I didn't want to read that, and then Almost Mortal didn't help, and now Almost Damned didn't help either, so hopefully my next read will be better than this. We are, let's see, we're 32 hours into the Readathon. Wow. No. Are we? We are 32 hours into the Readathon, and I would say I'm doing decently so far. I would like to finish another book. I would like to, I think both of Riley Sager's books are pretty long, around 300 or 400 pages, so I would like to have knocked out about 500-600 pages in this 48 hours just to bump my reading stats up a little bit. But yeah, that is all that I have to say now. I'm going to figure out what to do about food, aka a snack or something, and then get back into reading. It is almost midnight, which means it is coming in on the 36 hours. I watched quite a bit of Criminal Minds. I got to the season finale of season 9, I think it was, and it's 2 of my favorite episodes, so I just decided to watch them. I ended up making ramen as my snack. So basically all I've really had today are noodles, because I had noodles for lunch and then I had leftovers from that I thought I was going to be able to finish, so I had it as like an early dinner, and then I had ramen for midnight dinner snack thing. Yeah, so anyways, I figured out that the next book that Riley Sager wrote, the second book he wrote, is The Last Time I Lied, so I'm going to be starting this. I'm going to try and get like a chapter in first before I go to bed because I'm going to be sleeping for a number of hours. I think I'm gonna maybe stay up and read a little bit. I kind of don't really want to. We'll see how I end up playing this. Interestingly enough, this is a book of the month edition of this book that someone donated to the library. I guess they just didn't like this book enough to keep it, and I mean, it's a nice version. I mean, it's not super fancy. It's the book of the month edition. It doesn't mean a whole ton, but I just thought it was interesting that it was that edition. So yeah, I'm going to start this. I don't really know what this is about, but I liked Final Girls was okay. I figured out the ending before I probably should have, but it was Riley Sager's debut and I really, really liked Home Before Dark. So I think there's a good chance I'm gonna like this. I'm estimating around 400 pages, so I don't know if I'll be able to read all of this, but if I can get like 100 pages into it, I'll be pretty happy considering how much of this 48 hours I spent not actually reading. I think I'm okay with, you know, only getting through like 300-ish pages. So yeah, I'm going to start this. Sorry, I'm going to stop playing with the pages and start the book and then get ready for bed, maybe read a little more and then go to bed. You guys are slanted. You're currently sitting on top of my stuffed animal Pikachu and it is almost 9:30 on Thursday morning. I just finished my devotions, which was really good for me this morning. It helped a lot what I had read, so I am really glad I started with that. I've been doing it regularly for pretty much since 2021 started. I've been trying to be really regular. I've only missed a couple days here and there. But yeah, that was really nice to start the day with, so I'm going to go get ready and wash up and get a little snack for like a late breakfast thing. We have a lot of apples in the apartment, so I'm going to cut up a bunch of apples, put out a bunch of Nutella, and just have apples and Nutella and read for a while, basically until 12 o'clock hits. I'm going to try and read as much as I possibly can. I got through 18 pages last night. I didn't end up reading more before going to bed, but I got through the 18 pages and I'm really intrigued. I looked at the synopsis after I finished reading and I have a better understanding of what the book is about now. So yeah, I'm excited to read more. I think I can get at least another 100 pages in, if not more than 100 pages, and I am really ready to do that. So yeah, that's what my focus of the next few hours is going to be, and I'm looking forward to seeing how much I actually get read. I've already started compiling like my different reading sessions and how many pages I've gotten for them, and like so far it's looking pretty nice, but I want to like, you know, get into the triple digits because I have read, the most I've read in a like chunk of reading time was 99 pages. I want to break that into 100, so we're gonna go and try and do that once this is all clean. It is noon, I think. I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Yep, it is noon, which means the readathon is over. I didn't end up reading as much as I thought I would. I texted a couple of friends about my job situation. Yeah, as of today at noon, the deadline for me being able to apply for a work visa here is officially over. Sorry, you can hear the air fryer going on in the back. I'm toasting bread for lunch. Yeah, the deadline's over and the readathon is over. And a lot of things have changed in my personal life in terms of work situations, but we're not going to delve into that right now because this vlog is about reading. And I am 66 pages into The Last Time I Lied, so not quite the 100 pages that I was hoping for. I would have hit the 100 pages if I didn't stop to text my friends a little bit, but my roommate called me and then we did another round of devotions together, which was really nice, and we got to just talk and catch up a little bit. So that was just a nice thing to have to end the readathon on. And you know, even though I didn't read 2 whole books like I wanted to, I am enjoying my current read a lot more. Sorry, the air fryer is really obnoxious right now. It's gonna start beeping at any moment. But I am enjoying my current read a lot more, and I think this is exactly what I need to kind of get me out of the slump that the past 3 books have put me in. So I am glad I picked this up, and after this I'll probably pick up the other one, the pink one. I don't remember what it's called right now. Oh, why don't I remember what it was called? I will leave things to outro me to wrap things up, and yeah, I'm really happy with the way this readathon went. That is it! I am really happy with how things went for the readathon, and wow, I pulled up the totals of all the numbers that I've been keeping track of over the course of the last 48 hours, and these are the numbers that I have, and my total for number of pages read came up to 350. So I would say this was a pretty successful readathon. It's not 2 full books like my goal was, but 350 pages is not bad for 48 hours. And considering that I really didn't like one of the books that I read, I would say that was a pretty good thing. Also considering how little time I actually spent reading, I would say this was pretty successful. I mean, think about the fact that I spent 2.5 hours talking to a friend of mine, I watched X-Files and Criminal Minds, I was doing other things. I would say that 350 pages is a good amount of pages to read. I like that it took my mind off things that were happening, and in a lot of ways I think I just really needed a good distraction. I needed to throw myself into fiction whether or not I liked it. And now that I finally got into the Riley Sager books, I'm really happy because it's something I feel like I needed. I just needed like a really complex mystery that I knew was well written, and yeah, I ended this on a really good note, and I am in a much better place mentally and emotionally than I was 48 hours ago. So I'm happy to be able to say that, and I'm happy with the amount of pages that I read. I am just really happy with how the last 48 hours went. So I would call this a success in a lot of different ways. I really enjoy doing readathons like this. I think it's really fun to film. I think it's really fun to talk about. That is all that I have for this video. I will see you guys in a new one next Saturday. Bye!